Hello, BookTube. Um, remember that bit I said a bit earlier about it being our last mail haul of the week? Well, there's more mail. I totally forgot that I have a new UPS driver, and by extension, I have a new UPS driver on the weekends as well. And I was out with the bean after sunset. I like to go out there so that we can soak up the last blue sky overhead before it becomes full dark. And I noticed packages on the porch. I didn't get any doorbell warning, nothing like that. There are 3 packages here, and it ends in a great big box. So I figured we'd go through those, and then we'll wrap it up. So first we'll do this little cardboard thing here. So thin that it could be a slim volume of Poe. Let's see what we have here. What have we got here? Well, it's a slim volume, that's for sure. There's not poetry. This is a memoir. It's due in March by Hervé Letellier. All Happy Families. As you can see it in the glare there. I once again call for a 25-year moratorium on any kind of reference to the opening of Anna Karenina. Any kind at all. Anna Karenina was wrong. All Happy Families alike in the same way. Any reference at all to the beginning of Anna Karenina, I call for a 25-year moratorium. No more. No more like this. Because that's, of course, what this is going to mean. All Happy Families. But anyway, let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Celebrated author Hervé Letellier, or however it's pronounced, always knew that he, in his own words, was a monster. He experienced a seemingly normal French childhood with parents that cared for him. He did not consider himself to have been an unhappy child. He was not deprived or beaten or abused, and yet he never felt the significance of the familial bonds that tied the people who bore him together. Unable to feel warmth, affection, and trust, he didn't cry or become filled with grief when family died or fell terminally ill. Okay, all right, that's no longer a question of your upbringing. That's a question of your mental chemistry. That's the fact that you are a sociopath. Okay, if you don't cry or become filled with grief when family members die or become terminally ill, then there's something wrong with you, biochemically speaking, not your family. You can't blame your parents for that. And with his mother's damaging interpretation of a parent-child relationship, he became numb to love. Okay, all right, fine. Mommy might be mean to you, but if you don't feel any grief when someone you know dies, if you don't feel upset when someone you know is terminally ill, it has nothing to do with Mommy. It has nothing to do with her at all. It's that you're wired wrong. I have a feeling this book is just going to blame the parents. Now, with time passed and perspective gained, okay, time passed, perspective gained, fine, but do you feel things? Do you feel empathy? I don't care how much time has passed. I don't care how much perspective you have. You can be on the top of the Matterhorn for all I care. If time has passed and you're an adult now and you still don't feel any empathy, then you're still a danger to yourself and everyone around you. The author is able to reflect on the impact of his upbringing in his newest memoir. Having reached a certain emotional distance at 60 years old, good Lord, and with his father and stepfather dead and his mother suffering from late-stage Alzheimer's, he is able to open up about the story of his family. Oh, for God's sake. 60 years old, and we're talking about child. Oh, okay. Abandoned early by his father and raised in part by his grandparents, he was profoundly affected by his relationship with his mother, a troubled woman with damaging views on love. Okay, fine. If you don't feel empathy, and it has nothing to do with that. Those are 2 separate stories, one of which is that you had a rotten mother, and the other of which is that you are a monster in human form. So is this translated? It must be. And this guy's 60, so it's yeah, this came out in 2017. And do we have a translator? The English translation copyright is 2019. But I don't immediately see a translator credited. I suppose it's possible the author translated it himself, or maybe wrote it in English. No, he wrote it in French. I will learn all there is to know about this book before it comes out in March. It's a slim memoir. So now we'll move on here to a package, and then we'll do the box. And then we'll be done. Then I promise there's no more mail. So, oh my, okay. No pub sheet on you? No? No? Alright, this is a novel that comes out in January. This is by Chingozi Obioma. It's an orchestra of minorities. And it is, well, Nigerian, of course, but let's see here. Set on the outskirts of Umuahia, Nigeria, and narrated by a Chi, or guardian spirit. An orchestra of minorities tells the story of Chinonso, a young poultry farmer whose soul is ignited when he sees a woman about to jump from a highway bridge. Horrified by her recklessness, Chinonso joins her on the roadside and hurls 2 of his prized chickens into the water below to demonstrate the severity of such a fall. The woman, Ndali, N-D-A-L-I, is stopped in her tracks. Bonded by this night on the bridge, Chinonso and Ndali fall in love, but Ndali is from a wealthy family and struggles to imagine a future near a chicken coop. When her family objects to the union because Chinonso is uneducated, he sells most of his possessions to attend a college in Cyprus. But when he arrives, he discovers that there is no place at the school for him, and he has been utterly duped by the young Nigerian who made the arrangements. Penniless, homeless, and furious at the world that continues to relegate him to the sidelines, he gets further away from his dream, Ndali, and the farm he called home. Spanning continents, traversing the earth and cosmic spaces, and told by a narrator who has lived for hundreds of years, this novel is a contemporary twist on Homer's Odyssey. And the author was born in 1986 in Nigeria. His first novel, The Fisherman, won the 2016 NAACP Image Award and was a Man Booker finalist. And he has lived in Nigeria, Cyprus, no surprise there, and Turkey, and currently resides in the United States, where he teaches at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. So this will come out in January, and I requested it because I think it's going to get reviewed heavily, extensively, but also because I dipped into a sample of the book and kind of liked what I read, despite the fact that description of the book makes it sound like solid, unrelieved pandering to the current cultural moment of jackbooted diversity. I would ordinarily just condemn it, but I did what you're supposed to do if you're a reader. I sampled it first, and I liked a lot of what I read. So it'll be on my list as soon as I get back. It'll be on my list in the new year, and then we have a box. It's a square thing, but it's heavy, so it probably has more than one book in it. Because I don't think there's a book this size that would be this heavy all by itself. But let's see what we have here, and this will be it. I promise. Here we go. Oh, what a way to end the week. Oh my. It's a box full of Penguin Classics. It's a box full of Penguin Classics. Oh my. Okay. The first 2 are Penguin Classic hardcover editions. The first one is The Mayor of Casterbridge. Look at that. It has this this sort of rider on the back. That can work as a bookmark, and it has a quote: I'm not always what I am now. Oh, that is lovely. And then the next one is, appropriately enough, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes in a Penguin hardcover. Fantastic. And what is the quote on this one? On the contrary, Watson, you can see everything. You fail, however, to reason from what you see. Oh, my. These are, those of you who aren't familiar with these Penguin hardcover classics, they're just fantastic. They're hand-sized. They've got sewn binding. They've got an inset bookmark, acid-free pages. They're just wonderful. And believe it or not, I know from experience that these naked covers actually hold up fairly well. It takes a lot to rub one of them completely bald. And then the last of the Penguins is the Penguin Classic Deluxe in paperback. Oh no, Bean, leave the plastic alone. No plastic. This is a Penguin Classic Deluxe edition of Sense and Sensibility. There is a Tempest in a Teapot on the cover. And this is, look at that. Oh my. These Penguin Classic Deluxe editions have the decal edges, and they have the French flaps and all, and they have artwork that wraps all around the originally commissioned artwork. And this is Sense and Sensibility. It has a foreword by Kathleen Sheen, but I can ignore that. Kathleen Sheen being the author of the very worst novel ever written, which is really saying something considering all the novels that have been written in the last 600 years. Yeah, nevertheless, she is the author of the very worst novel ever written. And she wrote the foreword. I could not care less what she thinks about Jane Austen, whose name she is not fit to say. But a Penguin Classic Deluxe edition of Sense and Sensibility that looks so wonderful. What an incredible invitation to reread. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, well, that's not a bad way to end the week. So we have An Orchestra of Minorities by Chingozie Obioma. We have All Happy Families, a memoir about growing up with a horrible mother and also about growing up unable to feel human emotion. And we have 3 Penguin Classics. A paperback Penguin Classic Deluxe edition of Sense and Sensibility, and then 2 Penguin hardcovers, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and The Mayor of Casterbridge. How wonderful. Additions to the Penguin Wall. How wonderful. Okay. So that's it. That, I promise, that is it. So I will wrap this up, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.